I just don't want to keep talking off the air because all this stuff is good content. Nice. So one of the other formats that I think the studio is really cool for is when you have like content that you capture in the field. Like, so let's say we go and we're in court or we're doing something in the field, and then we have mobile content, right, that we're capturing. And then we come back into the studio and we're like watching it later and we're like, oh, this was crazy because I was going to, you know, the other side of the table, and like, let's say I was doing a poker show in the casino, and then we come back here and we're like, so this is what happened. And then you embed the video
into
from like Below Deck or one of these reality shows, but you have the context of where you're filming it in the field, but then you have the studio production and you guys talking about like how that went down or whatever. So I think that's I think that's a really good format.
Random question: if you're in court, do they actually allow you to record?
You need permission, but the default rule in court is that everything that happens in court is technically public.
Okay.
So there's like a presumption that the same rule applies like when you're outside. Technically, if you're like outside on the streets, you're allowed to record people.
Yeah, correct. Of course.
Because you're in public. I mean, like, if you don't want to be recorded, then
paparazzi too.
Yeah. But you can't record someone in their house or something like that.
Of course. So in court, you can record.
You can record, but you need to tell the judge. Okay. You need to say, Judge, I'm recording, you know, for XYZ.
And can the judge say no?
The judge could say no, and you could like fight back against him, and then you're playing a slippery slope.
Yeah, it's probably not worth it.
He could say like, no, I don't want it for XYZ reasons, and he could decline you. And then if you really wanted to fight, you'd probably win.
It's probably not worth it.
Unless there was like sensitive information, like if it was like a rape case or something like that, then it could be sealed for the interests of the people involved. But the default is that everything that happens in court is public, which is why you get like, did you watch the Murdaugh? Alex Murdaugh, remember the lawyer? That was a huge one. Okay. Or obviously like OJ Simpson was publicized. That's why you can put these trials on video.
Let me tell you, my first intro into the justice system in the US was what most people dread, which was jury duty.
Oh yeah. Dude, everyone asked me about jury duty.
It was great. I freaking loved it.
You loved it, huh?
It was like a reality TV show.
Yeah.
I'm there biting my nails the entire process. I'm like,
did you get selected to be on a jury?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yes, yes.
What kind of a case was it?
So it was this 100% gangster mobster
criminal
Italian guy.
Criminal.
Yeah. Who was trying to frame a stripper.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
In Miami? Is it in Miami court?
Yeah, of course. That he took home that night, and apparently, according quote unquote to him, he woke up and his Rolex was gone, his gold chain was gone, whatever.
Oh wow.
And obviously, during the court case, the judge doesn't tell you the background history of the guy because quote unquote that doesn't matter.
Right. It's not. It's technically. Yeah. It's not in evidence.
Correct. But you can see the girl. She was crying her eyeballs out, and I'm just looking.
So she was on trial, or he was on trial.
She was on trial.
She was being accused of raping him, of drugging him and taking his goods.
Correct.
That's crazy.
And she was crying like, look, I'm a single mom. I would never do that. I understand that this job is frowned upon, but I'm doing it because I don't have any other option. But I would never steal. That's a whole different thing. And you could just tell from looking at the guy, and like, it didn't really like.
Oh, you guys thought that he set her up?
Yeah. And at the end, we said, no, she's not guilty.
Oh, so you let her off completely.
Yeah. And then we found out that this is the second time this guy's trying to do this.
But what does he do? An insurance claim or something?
I guess so. I don't know.
So he says that someone steals his stuff.
Yeah.
He gets an insurance claim, and so and then they charge her. That's crazy.
And the judge told us like, hey, obviously during the case we couldn't tell you, but now that it's done, I'm gonna tell you the history.
Oh, so after you gave your verdict, he gave you information?
Correct.
That's interesting.
He called us into his chambers. Like I'm telling you, for me, it was like watching the OJ case.
But this is crazy. How many days? Was it more than one day?
Yeah, it was like 3 days.
Multi-day? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was like 3 days.
So he calls you into chambers and he
calls all of us into chambers and then tells us a story. I was like, look, not only is the second time this guy does this, but apparently a couple of years back, he was like getting out of an Italian restaurant in New York, and typical gangster movie. Drive-by shooter went out and just shot him in the legs.
Holy moly, that's wild.
You're like, when you know the story, you're like, it matches up.
So he basically told you, he's like, good thing that you guys didn't put the girl guilty.
Exactly.
Wow.
He's like, look, I had to remain impartial.
Yeah, of course.
But now that this is on, it's like, look, guys,
That's amazing.
Put one on
How
one
long
together.
ago was that?
It was like, how long ago? It was like 5 years ago. 6
Before
years
we
ago.
met.
Yeah, it was before.
That's crazy.
But I loved it, and I fell in love with the entire thing. And since then, I'm like, I want to get selected again.
Yeah, but you see, you got like a very small sample, a lot of cases
Yeah, of
are
course.
like what your case would have been. Like,
Yeah.
someone got rear-ended, they won $1 million, they only want to give 100,000. It's
Yeah.
like, how much is the case worth, right?
But,
So, but you got an interesting one.
And at that time, I was actually working for a lawyer doing personal.
Yeah, I remember. That's kind of why we became friends, is
Correct.
because when I represented you,
Correct.
you had a lot of experience working for lawyers.
Correct.
And you were like telling me like, oh, like this is how other lawyers do it. Like you're doing it right. Like keep going with what you're doing, because like all these other lawyers that I deal with are like terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just like, whatever. So that's how we kind of
Correct.
bonded when and also the lawyer that handed me your case, you didn't like very much either, because they just didn't, they did the stuff that all lawyers do that you were always telling me about.
Look, the thing is, with this day and age, I understand there's a lot of regulations and a lot of things that you can and cannot do. But I think no matter the field that you work in, you have to get up to speed. Like, you have to use all the tools to your advantage. It's like if you're telling me right now, in whatever field you are, and you're not trying to use AI for one thing or the other one.
Right.
Like your stance.
Let alone AI, not even like, what about if you're still using a fax machine?
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
It's a joke.
Actually, in the email company, I was asking this the other day.
Yeah.
I'm looking, and it says a phone number, and if there's a phone number, then it's an F and another number. I'm like, that's a fax number. I've never seen a fax in this company. And then I go ask, I was like, guys, where's the fax machine? He's like, fax machine. There's no fax machine.
Yeah.
Then why the heck in their signature we have a fax machine number?
It's crazy. No, it's ridiculous.
So anyways, the point is, it makes a big difference once you meet someone that is able to modernize what they do and bring it up to speed. Like, from what I remember from my other lawyer, it was like, dude, the call was like one every 2 weeks, and it was like
no texting, no voice messages,
no way, no nothing.
Yeah,
and it was like set up with my with the receptionist so we can talk. I'm like, I just need a quick 5-minute status update on the case. I don't need an hour of your time to sit in the office.
You don't want to schedule like a phone call.
Correct.
And then it gets canceled.
Correct.
And then it gets recanceled. Like I just need an update. Like, just send me a quick text.
Yeah, we're both busy, and I promise you, it will be quicker if you send me a text.
For everybody.
Hey, I have a court date this date, and we'll know more. That's it.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
It's much quicker than just schedule a call, meet, talk,
reschedule the call.
I'm like, it wasn't moving, and I was getting so frustrated.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
it goes in like slow motion, right?
Yeah, I'm like, there has to be a faster way. There has to be a faster way. When they gave me the case to you, I was mind blown. I'm like, why doesn't everyone do it this way? It's just so more efficient. Like, just from a business standpoint, you're able to get more cases and move them along faster. There's an immediate ROI there for you as a business owner.
Yeah.
Like, as a lawyer, you're able to handle more cases with less people, less workload.
Happier clients.
Yeah.
Faster settlements.
Correct.
And then you don't start getting, this is one thing I've always realized too. Your clients don't refer you more business until you get them paid. And then once you get them paid, then they start sending you referrals.
Correct.
But if it takes you 2 years to settle a case that should have taken you 6 months, now you just missed out on all the referrals from that person for that whole time.
The only downside that I can see from like giving your personal number is if the client is not happy with the outcome, then you're going to have someone harassing you. But I guess you can just block him.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've had a few unhappy clients over the years, as any lawyer will. Some lawyers that are operating much more negligently than I am probably have a lot more unhappy clients. But, some people are just impossible. Now, as I got older, I'm able to see when I have an impossible client, and actually I usually don't even finish their case. Okay. I just realize, I just say like, I can't represent you. I don't think anything I can do will make you happy, and I'll just give the case away, and I'll say, look, there's going to be, there'll be a lawyer out there for you, but I don't want it. And you don't owe me anything. So And I've found that to be like, some lawyers don't want to do that because they feel like they're owed a little bit from whatever time they spent. Yeah. But I've found that to be the best thing I could do, like for me and for the client, right? Because I don't know, maybe some lawyers like toxic people, toxic lawyers like toxic clients maybe, but I'm not like that. I want to represent people that I like, that are reasonable, and I can get them a good result.
There's a term for that. I'm trying to remember. Oh, I remember. It's called the sunken cost fallacy.
Oh, yeah. I know about that in economics. It's Correct. You erroneously attribute the time and money that you've spent on something. And so then
you double down.
It's kind of like the same saying, which is spending good money after bad money, right?
Correct.
Like it's gone.
Correct.
Right.
So the time you spend, the money you spend with this client is gone. Just cut your losses,
just
move on
cut
to the
your
next
losses
one.
and go represent somebody that's a good person that's going to love you.
Correct.
So that's why, in the beginning, when I was a younger lawyer, giving my cell phone number out was harder because I felt like I had to respond to every text immediately.
Of course.
But now I just have systems. My phone is almost always off. My phone doesn't ring unless your number's saved in my phone. My voicemail specifically says, like, if you're calling me about a case, send me a text message. Tell me how you found me. And usually I'll call you back within like 10 minutes as soon as I look at my phone. So I've developed like a protocol, and almost everybody gets responses. Sometimes I respond 5 hours later, but that 5 hours later is still way better than like an email and like a schedule. Oh, I saw that you called Mr. Sibley yesterday. He asked me to call you back. He's unavailable for 3 days. And then, so it's like, and now look, I do have paralegals that help me a lot. Yeah. And I tell the clients, I go, look, I'm going to deal with your case a lot. And your paralegal that's working on your case is also going to work on your case a lot. I'm going to deal with you on the big picture stuff. And she's going to deal with you on like the administrative stuff. Like, where's the doctor's appointment? What time is the appointment? What is like little questions that come up throughout the journey?
Wait, hold on. You need to remind the guy of his doctor's appointment.
Well, sometimes they might, I'm just using random things, but sometimes the first appointment, right? Like we help them set up, like they haven't been to the doctor yet and we found them a good doctor or whatever. But like when it comes time to ask the question of like, how much is my case worth? Or, how long does a case take? The big picture stuff, the paralegal will remind you, like, let's talk to Brent about that. I'll tell Brent that you need a little bit of a status meeting about XYZ, and he'll shoot you a text or he'll call you and you'll go over big picture stuff. But you have to create a system to delegate efficiently, because you don't want to just, I think, okay, so this is what I see, right? So you tell me, because you've dealt with lawyers. What I see is a lot of people, they call a billboard firm, or sometimes it's just a referral from a friend, but they call some lawyer that they get recommended to for their injury case. They meet the lawyer comes in, sees them, or does a phone call, and then they can never speak to the lawyer again. And the only person they are allowed to speak to is the paralegal. I hear this all the time.
So in my particular case, when I was working for the lawyer that I used to work for, unless it was a humongous case with either a big name or something like that, the initial call would be with the lawyer, but then the paralegal was doing everything.
And then the lawyer would like never speak to the client again, right?
Maybe at the end of the case, or if the client had to come in for the position or something. But other than that, now let me ask you something. Correct my assumption if I'm wrong. Is it usually, are people usually always overestimating what the case is worth? That they usually all the time go like, how much do you think my case is worth? Close to $10 million, right?
Well, I think people obviously in the beginning, they want to be optimistic, right? They're like, okay, I'm talking to a lawyer. I've never even talked to a lawyer before. He's interested in my case. He's wearing a fancy suit. My case, he has a Rolex on. Like, this is like I hit the lottery, right?
Yeah.
So I think in general, people probably assume that their case is worth more, but a lot of people have friends that have had settlements that were not so great.
Okay.
So, but then on the flip side, you have people that have friends that had settlements that were really great. So everyone has their own unique stuff, but a lot of people, more often than not, people just have no idea.
Okay.
They see the billboards and they see the numbers, but people like, even if they're not intelligent people, they know like marketing is a scam. And like, oh, I got Morgan & Morgan or Rubenstein got me $1 million. Like, yeah, but you probably lost a leg, right? Like you're not like just perfect, right? So I think people are smart enough to know that what they see on billboards and TV is not real.
Yeah.
And that every case is different and they need to like, but of course there's exceptions to every rule. So the typical thing is I tell people like right away, like I think one of the best things, this isn't just for personal injury lawyers, but in all of business, like you need to get expectations in line like immediately.
Yeah.
Like, and that was another thing that when I was a junior lawyer, I didn't do it as well as I do it now. So like the first thing I immediately give people the bad news. Like if you have an auto accident in Florida, the first thing you need to know is that the person who hit you probably has terrible insurance.
Yeah.
Like, and in Florida, you don't have to have any insurance at all for injuries. Whoa, oh my God, really? I'm like, yeah. And, you know, the person who hit you had a 2019 Acura. So it's not like terrible. It's not like a beater, but it's also not like a 2023 S550, right? Well, so we're not sure. They might have some insurance, they might not. So that's the first thing I always tell them because I need their expectations to be reasonable. And it's America. At the end of the day, the insurance is the only thing that matters.
So I'm going to recall a story that I don't know if you remember, but it was actually fairly recent. It was like a year ago, more or less. I was on my way to work.
Okay.
I was making a right turn into the US 1 in the middle of traffic. Plain, bright day, sunny day.
Nothing fishy going on.
Nothing fishy. I'm literally going at 1 mile an hour.
Okay.
And there's a traffic, so there's just a gap for me to merge into the lane.
Right.
Okay, so I start merging, but half the car is stuck like outside of the in between lanes basically because there's a red light and there's traffic. Right. So when in my mind when the light goes green, the car's advance and I'll finish merging. So the light goes green and the person who was on the other side, like in the gap, I don't know how she didn't see my orange bright car.
She just T-bones you.
She T-boned me.
At 2 miles an hour.
At 2 miles an hour. While I'm staring at her, I'm looking at her in slow motion.
You're like this.
I'm like,
are you fucking kidding me? Are you serious?
I'm there like, I saw you. You saw me.
We weren't moving.
We've been stuck here for like 2 minutes. My car is orange.
Miami. Yeah, my car's orange.
It's bright orange.
I've been in front of you for 2 minutes and you just hit me.
I don't understand what went on. What's going on?
Unbelievable.
And so the story gets better and better. So I'm like,
she tells the cops you cut her off.
No. So it's a girl. She's freaking out. She's a little teenager almost. I'm like, whatever. The cops come. The cops start doing the whole thing. And then the parent of the girl comes.
The parents come?
The parents come, the father.
Okay.
The father comes. He has an attitude like if it was my fault somehow when I was stopped. I was not moving.
Yeah, of course. Ridiculous.
And the father of the girl was trying to talk to the cops. It got to the point in which the cops are like, "Sir, step away.
You weren't here. You're not involved.
We will finish this. I understand she's your daughter,
right?
But you were not here.
Yeah. You're not involved.
Okay,
you're just her dad.
Step away.
Go over there.
We'll tell you what's gonna happen in the end. Whatever.
Right.
So long story short, I'm like, obviously she takes the full blame.
Right.
I get my ticket, whatever, and I just I'm like, okay, great, insurance, depreciation on my car, whatever it is. I'll just another day. I go to the office, and obviously I took pictures of the entire accident.
Of course.
And then I'm looking at the pictures and I started reading the ticket. I'm like, wait, this is not the car. I'm like, this is not the car. The ticket said it was a Toyota and it was a Chevy. It was a Chevy. It was completely different cars, different colors, different everything. I'm there like, fuck.
So they put your car not on there or her car?
Her car was completely different. And I'm like, okay, they didn't check the police report. Like, we're there by the say, I imagine.
Right,
and there are like 3 police cars.
Yeah, of course. You just take it and go.
I don't need to explain the difference between a Toyota and a Chevrolet.
Was the insurance information right for her or no?
So hold. So I'm there like, okay. So I call my insurance and I tell them, look, this is what happened. I have the pictures, whatever. They're like, we'll investigate. They call me back a couple of days later. And he's like, hey, we can't find any information about this car. I'm like, what do you mean? No, we can't find any information. We're going to keep investigating. They call me back 2 days later. Hey, so our theory is that it was a stolen car.
What?
I'm like, so you're telling me?
You took pictures of the car, right? So you had her plate and the make and model and everything.
And I gave that everything to the insurance. So I'm like, so you're telling me, bright as day, 9 in the morning.
Stolen car from a
in
teenage
Miami,
girl.
you have no. It might be the dad stole the car and gave it to the
Okay,
girl. Whatever.
fair,
I mean,
fair.
That's not my
Yeah.
concern. My concern is there's 3 cops there next to the car.
How do they not even?
They guess they didn't check the police report. They ran the license plate or whatever, or the registration. They pulled a car. They just printed and gave it to me. They didn't see, okay, Chevy, Toyota.
They didn't even look at the car to see if it matched.
They didn't. They just gave me the police report. Also my fault for assuming the police were going to do their job.
Yeah. You wouldn't think to cross-reference this.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, there are 3 cops. I understand. Maybe they got one number of the license plate wrong, whatever it may be. But the color and
different
make
color,
of the car.
yeah, make and model and color, like, come on.
So the insurance is like, this is a very shitty situation for you. We're sorry, but you're going to have to pay the deductible, and then we'll try to get you your money back if we ever find the car.
And they never found the car.
No, they never found the car. I'm there like,
wow.
You know what?
Well, that's why you have insurance, though.
No, still, because my insurance went up.
I know, but imagine the case where you're like a lot of people in Miami, and you didn't have comprehensive and collision coverage on your on your policy at all.
Yeah, no.
You would have been fucked. You would have had to pay not just the deductible, you would have to pay the entire value of the claim.
But Brent, the problem with this is, well, it's 2 things. One, I actually texted the girl because I had her number.
Right.
And I'm like, hey, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
I called her, and then she's like, oh, I'm going to talk to my dad about it. Obviously, she blocked me.
Of course. Yeah. She ghosted you in 2 seconds.
And I'm like, God damn it. What bothered me the most was not the accident. Damage was minimal.
Right.
What bothered me is the fact that my car was a collection car. It was a Miata 30-year anniversary.
So it had sentimental value and it had collector value.
Correct. So, but once there's an accident, doesn't matter how small it is.
Yeah, it
depreciates the value of the car.
Yeah.
And I'm there like, God damn it.
And you can't really do it. I mean, you could do a diminished value claim, but
against who?
Yeah, well, you could. Yeah, usually you do it against the other side.
Correct.
You could probably still do it against your insurance, but it's probably not really worth a lot. But it sucks. Yeah. How much is it worth anything? The car, like a lot? Or
no, I sold it already.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, because I think the car had a bad charm in it. Like something was.
Oh yeah, some other weird shit was going on.
Because something very similar happened to me.
Also, but bright orange cars have higher insurance rates because they get in more accidents.
Correct.
You would think the opposite because they're bright.
Look, I'm gonna tell you something.
How could people crash into you? But
my last 3 accidents have been I have been stopped. So a year ago, this was like 3 years ago. A year ago, something very similar happened, but with a school bus. The school bus hit me from behind.
You?
And I'm like, look, the school bus, I can take the excuse. She's like, oh, you were tiny. They didn't see you. It's a Miata.
Yeah.
I'm like,
big.
Sure. Okay. She hit me 3 times though. She like, boom, didn't see anything. Boom, boom. Like, lady, you don't feel you're not moving when you're hitting something?
Yeah, you're like tiny compared to her. But
yeah. So I'm like, at that point, I'm like, look, I'm just getting rid of this car.
Yeah. No. So, no, but, representing people in accidents is, I like doing it because my favorite part about it is actually like doing good customer service. I think that is what boils down to the reason that people don't like the lawyers and they feel like they have a really bad experience is that lawyers they go to school and they analyze the law and then they figure out how court works and they figure out how the insurance works and they're doing all this like technical stuff. But at the end of the day, like you're representing a human being, and customer service is everything. Yeah. And people just feel like treated like shit because lawyers and the paralegals never call them back. So that's my favorite part of the job.
Well, I think the problem is that they just think themselves as a lawyer, not as a business owner.
Right.
If you change your mindset, I'm like, look, I understand that I'm practicing law, but it's a business. So before
it's
a lawyer,
both, right.
I am a business owner.
A business owner first. Correct. And your business is a lawyer, a law firm.
So like,
you have customers. Correct. They need to be treated well.
Correct. Just like any other customer, even more with this one, because my reputation is my name.
Especially in a service business.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if I don't treat my customers well, they're gonna ruin my reputation. I'm not
going out of business.
Yeah, exactly. Like
it's crazy. Yeah, I mean,
and it doesn't take much.
It doesn't.
It's not hard. This is not. You're not a waiter at a restaurant that has to work at 2 a.m. and has to be with a smile. Right.
All you have to do is pick up your phone.
Correct.
Call them back once in a while, not even every day.
Exactly.
I mean, but yeah, I think what it boils down to is like lawyers. They see their clients as like the enemy. For some reason, I don't know. There's some mental thing to it because it happens also with the attorney against the other attorney, the defense attorneys. So when we're the plaintiffs, right? We represent the people who are injured and we sue the other side, and then they have to get the defense lawyers.
Correct.
So this is a very common thing that we see where we file the lawsuits, and then the insurance company hires the defense attorney. Okay. And then the defense attorney, not all of them, but a lot of them are just like notorious assholes. So they get the case assigned to them, and they call you and they're like, your case sucks. Your client, is a faker. They're really not her, and all this stuff. And then they start tearing into you as an attorney. Why do you represent these people? And it's like, buddy, you're a defense attorney. If people like me didn't file lawsuits, you would have no job.
Correct.
Like, we're the only reason you have a living. And they're calling us and like berating us and just acting like we're the enemy. And we're like, and it doesn't make any sense. But I feel like it's the same mindset with like the clients. It's like, I'm an attorney. I represent people. And without people to represent, I have no business. I have no living. I have no career, right? It's the same thing with the defense attorneys. If I don't file lawsuits against you, you have no business.
Correct.
If I don't have clients, I have no business. So yeah, my clients, they're going to call and they're going to want updates. Of course.
They're buying
They're
the service.
Human people. They want updates. Now, if they ask for too many updates and they're being unreasonable, then tell them, be like, you can't call every 2 days and ask for an update. That's not how it works. Like, we'll give you an update every 2 weeks, 3 weeks. That's about the normal cycle. You have to train your clients on how the business works, right?
Correct.
So it's like, it's not like you took your computer into the Apple store and you want an update like every 2 or 3 days because your whole life is on hold because your computer, right? Then an update every 48 hours probably makes sense, right?
Correct.
But you have to tell your clients, like, this is how it works, And so I think that the lawyers they don't think about customer service. They don't think about the process of like educating like a big thing. Like when we first met, we sit down for an hour. I tell you, okay, look, tell me about your case. You tell me about your case. Tell me about what your other lawyer did for your case. Tell me, like, what are you unhappy about? Like, what are you worried about? So I give you a chance to tell me. And then I say, this is the way it works.
Of course.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And this is how long it's going to take. And when I do this, the insurance company is going to tell me, screw you. But I already know that.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm telling you that now so that when they tell me to screw you, I have to tell you you're my client.
Correct.
But I don't want you to freak out because I'm telling you it's going to happen. I want you to laugh.
It's part of the process.
It's part of the process. But a lot of that's part of like customer service and managing expectations and all that. And like you had a lawyer before, like no one had ever sat you down and like explained to you like, this is what's going to happen. Don't overreact. No. You're just at this point of the case, your case is being handled by like a $12 an hour person at State Farm.
Yeah.
It's their first job ever. Like they have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
So like when they make when they make an offer of your case of $3,000, don't freak out. It's not like because see what happens is if you don't train your clients, they're going to be like, my lawyer sucks. He only got me a $3,000 offer. And then he goes and tells all his friends. And it's like, buddy, like, let's sit down. Let's talk about this. This is just the first offer. The first offer is always bad.
Right. It's a negotiation.
Yeah. So, but I think a lot of lawyers, like when you first got your first offer from the other firm, a lot of times it comes in like with an email, like, hello, Eduardo, like we have received an offer of your case. Like no one explains to you like the context. There's no intonation. There's nothing. You're just like, it's a dry ass email with like a number. And you're like,
correct.
So do I have to take it?
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people are like, so what happens now? Like, that's it? I only get $3,000 for my case?
Yeah.
I'm like, of course not. Like, that's just the first offer.
Right.
Like, all I'd send was your hospital bills. Like, you have a lot of other injuries that are going on. I'm going to get you $100,000, Well,
I think what they need to understand is, look, it's like a negotiation. It's like you're telling them your case is worth this.
Right.
And they're counter offering and telling you, we think it's this.
Right.
And then you got to find a middle ground to them. No, it's not worth 3,000, but it's not worth 3 million.
And that's what I try and educate my clients. I'm like, look, this is like, it's like a negotiation when your favorite player wants to get picked up by a new team, right? He's going to ask for like, you always see what they ask for. He wants 500 million over 4 years, right?
Yeah.
And they're offering, they offer 200 million.
Yeah.
And so it's like, whoa, they're so far apart. But at the end of the day, after 3 or 4 weeks, they make a deal, right? Yeah. And both sides like get what they want enough to sign the contract and they move forward. Yeah. But people freak out if you don't call them and explain like, look, like insurance company's going to make their first offer. It's going to suck. Like, I don't even want to tell it to you, but by law, I have to.
Yeah, of course.
But once you tell them that, then it makes a big difference.
So
You
to
know
be
what I mean?
honest, if I was the lawyer, I would call the defense lawyer and be like, look, dude, do we really have to do the back and forth? Are you really gonna send me 3,000? Can we just cut to
just
the
give me a real
chase?
number. But there are a few instances where you can avoid that, but usually it only happens when you've worked with the defense attorney or the specific person at the insurance company like a lot. Because what happens is when you're dealing with somebody that you don't have like a relationship with, that you know, and you have other cases with, and like, if you fuck me here, I'm going to fuck you there. You know, you have other leverage against them. What happens is if you just tell somebody your number, then they're like, okay, well, now I know. And now I'm going to like try and still lowball them. Like, let's say I asked for 250,000 on a case, right? And I talk, and you're my client, right? And we say, look, the policy limits are 250, but your case isn't worth 250. Like, you didn't get surgery, you didn't get a lot of treatment. Your case is probably worth 100. I think we should get 100. So, and the first offer is 19,000, right? So I'm at 250. The insurance company offers 20,000, just to use a round number. And if I just go back to them and I'm just like, look, like, I don't want to waste time. I just want $100,000. Then what they're going to do is they're going to be like, oh, okay. So they're just going to basically ignore what you said in terms of like, I don't want to waste time. They're going to be like, okay, now you're asking for 100. And then they're going to be like, okay, we'll offer you 32. And now you're like, fuck, because you can't go back up.
Yeah, of course.
So that's kind of like the reason why you have to play the game.
Gotcha.
Especially with the people that you haven't done a lot of business with.
Gotcha.
It's annoying because you just get fucked.
Okay. Makes sense.
But now you know.
Yeah.
Now you understand. You're like, okay. And especially at like mediation.
Yeah.
So have you been to a mediation before? We didn't go to mediation in your case. So mediation is interesting because, well, now we do most of them on Zoom. But basically, what's good and it's bad, it forces that whole process, which is like, okay, I'm at 250. Okay. 2 days go by. They send you a letter. Okay, we're offering 30. Okay, I'm going down from 250,000 to now I'm gonna ask for 200. Okay, now they go from 30 to 50. And that could take a month, you know, because sometimes they might have to talk to their boss. I have to talk to you, which for me is usually quick, but sometimes the client doesn't respond right away. Right. But mediation is interesting because basically it forces that entire process to happen in like 3 hours with a mediator. Yeah. So basically you all start in one room together. Yeah. You all tell your side of the story and then you all go into separate rooms and then the mediator goes back and forth and he goes, okay, they're at 250. Okay, they're at 30.
What's the downside of that?
Well, there's no downside about it. Well, the downside of, well, first of all, before you if you're going to try and go to trial, you have to go to mediation. So the judge will not let you, in Florida, you're not allowed to take up the court's time until you've gone to mediation and the mediator certifies they were in good faith and we couldn't make a deal. So it's mandatory in Florida that you go to mediation, and it is good. I mean, sometimes it's a joke because you go there and you just have to like just waste 3 hours because the insurance company, your case is worth 200,000 and the insurance company won't offer you more than 15, but whatever, you have to go. Yeah. You just go and you get it over with as fast as possible. Yeah. But the problem with the problem, and it's not really a big problem, but it is really the only downside of going to like a settlement conference, we call it mediation or settlement conference, is that if you, and this kind of goes back to what you said before, if you tell the other side, if you even like hint to them at where say you have a big case, right? Say you have a $5 million case, right? But you think you could get 5 million if you went to trial, but you're probably willing to settle the case for 1.5 or 2 million because it's guaranteed. When you make a settlement, it's over. They send you a check the next day. The case is over. Yeah. There's no appeals. There's no mistrials. There's no more money being spent. The case is just over. It's 100% guaranteed money. So, of course, if you think you can get 5 million at trial, sometimes some juries might give you 0. So you have to balance that. So let's just say you have a case that's $5 million potentially, but you think you could get 2. Now, as soon as like you start the negotiation process with the insurance company, if they even like smell that you're in the $1 to $2 million range, they'll never in a million years offer you anything over than that, because in their mind, that's the way that their system works, is that they put a note in like, we had a discussion, and the plaintiff's attorney said that he would be somewhere between 1.5 million and 2.5 million. Then once that note is in the insurance operating system, you'll never ever unless something crazy happens, you'll never be able to get them to go over 2 million, something like that.
Makes sense. Okay.
So that's the problem with showing them your cards.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
Kind of like what we were talking about before. Once you tell them that your number's 100, you can kiss 101 goodbye. You have no chance now.
You said yourself.
Because for them, it's just business.
Correct.
They're just their job. These people that work at the insurance company, their job is to just minimize payouts. Yeah. Like their whole job is to cut the checks as small as possible.
Yeah, but I also probably imagine so at a certain extent, they also understand that it's not really their money. So
but
it's very different if they're the ones.
But a lot of them, they figure out incentives, they figure out structures, and they make more money when they settle cases cheap.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
they have ways to bonus them properly, where if they pay too much, then they can kind of get in trouble.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I was thinking it's very different if you're asking me to write the check for $100K.
Of course, for your own money, it's a huge difference.
Then I'll fight that to the teeth. Trust me, I'll give you $1,000.
Yeah, you'll never get a penny from me.
Exactly.
But a lot of times, the way it works too is the people at the insurance company, they so I send them the demand package with all your information about your case. Then they review it and they summarize it, and then they go have a meeting with their bosses, and they're like, "Okay, Sibley is representing Eduardo, and he's asking for 100,000, and here's the case." And they're like, the low level person will be like, "I think that we should offer them 60," and the bosses will be like, "No, that's too high." What they do is it's called authority. They say you have authority at 45. Anything above that. So basically what that means is they are not allowed to write a check they can settle the case up to 45,000. Anything more than that,
they have to go to the boss.
They have to go back for more authority. And then if they keep having to go back, it's John over here never comes back. He always gets the case settled for below his authority, and you're always coming back. So it makes you look bad, and then they keep track of who's settling cases for certain amounts. So
because I was saying, if I'm the lawyer, I'm gonna wear this guy down, because I know
But at the end of the day, also the lawyer on our side, if I have, it depends on how many cases I have, but we have much more limited resources than the insurance company.
That's true.
They have entire departments and unlimited money.
Correct.
They have premiums coming in.
Correct. And they can have one guy per case.
Yeah, they could do a variety of different techniques to stall you and milk you out and just kind of make you go through max pain. So, but no, it's good. So thanks for coming in. I really am happy that you came in today. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about just podcasting. I know you have a lot of podcasts that you listen to.
Yeah.
What are your favorite ones?
So I'm a big fan of the All In podcast and Lex Friedman.
That's with Chamath, right?
Yeah, Chamath.
And his crew.
Yeah.
And Lex Friedman.
Yeah. So I actually had a small issue with, what's this guy's name from the All In?
David?
With David. No, it wasn't David Saxon. It was not David. Shoot, I can't remember from the top of my head the name of the other guy. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. One of them.
They play poker. I watch them play poker because I'm a huge poker fan. I hate the way this guy plays poker. He's such a wuss. The guy you're talking about. Because it's Chamath, David Sachs, and then, I don't know, I forgot the name.
So one of them, my company where I work, we just had a conference.
Yeah.
And we were looking for a keynote speaker.
Okay.
And I have a new marketing manager who the guys are starting. He's learning the ropes. He doesn't know much. And we were getting quotes from different speakers. And we're like, hey, why don't we get this guy? We make him a deal that we'll hire him. They want to $35K.
Right.
We'll hire him as a speaker with the condition that they promote the conference in the All In.
Okay.
I'm like, dude, it's one of the top podcasts in the
US. It's a great deal.
It's a great freaking deal. If they want an extra 5, I'll throw the extra 5 on top. Not a problem. So we're just getting quotes from different speakers. We're also working with the Shark Tank guy.
Okay.
With Mr. Wonderful, Kevin Leary.
Okay.
And different people were working at the same time. Molly Bloom.
Nice.
But the problem is this particular speaker, the one from the All In, was from a different agency.
Okay.
So I tell my marketing manager, hey, just get a quote, see how much they want for this.
Right.
I was not involved in the conversation because during the conference prep, it's a lot of work and it's hectic.
Yeah.
So I tend to delegate some things and I just completely hands off.
Right.
I mean, look, it's getting a quote. How complicated can this be?
Yeah.
So apparently what happened is that the offers are binding. So the way it works is, let's say for this guy, I send him the offer, right? I tell him, look, okay, we'll get you as a keynote speaker,
Right.
in for our conference for
Right.
$30K.
Yep.
If you also mention the conference in the All In podcast or
Right.
promote it.
Right.
If he says yes, I agree, you're stuck.
Yeah. On those terms.
You
right.
have to pay.
Right.
No, you can't be like, oh, sorry, I changed my mind. I'm not interested
No, it's
anymore.
binding. Yeah.
It's a binding.
Well, that's generally how the idea, this is like a law school thing because I don't practice contract law,
Correct.
but if you make someone an offer and they accept it clearly, then it's binding.
The problem is, like
Yeah.
I said, we were getting different quotes.
Right.
And in the process that they took to
Multiple
get back to
people
us,
accepted.
no, we got another speaker
Right.
that accepted. And we're like, okay, we prefer to just go with the other speakers, confirm. We're in a time crunch.
Right.
We don't have time
To wait.
wait and get this guy's response.
Right.
And like 2 days later, after we already hired the others, the Molly Bloom actually.
Yeah.
Uh,
The poker girl?
Yeah, the poker.
Oh,
girl.
that's amazing.
Yeah, she was our keynote speaker.
Oh, sick. I want to watch that.
Yeah. So after we hire her 2 days later, they're coming, hey, by the way, this guy accepted the offer. And I'm CC'd in the email. I'm like, okay. So I told my marketing manager, hey, go back to them that thank you, but no thank you. We're not interested anymore. We already have another speaker. And then they come back like, no, dude, like this is a binding offer. You have to pay the full amount. I'm like, I'm not going to pay another 30 grand for another speaker that we
You
don't
have to.
need.
So now you know, as soon as one person accepts, you have to immediately rescind all your other offers.
Correct.
Yeah.
But again, it was a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
I wasn't handling that.
Right.
I would have read the terms and conditions before
Right.
I send the binding offer.
Right.
I called them, negotiated, whatever. Ended up paying 10 grand.
Oh, okay.
To
Not
cancel the
not the end
contract.
of the world.
No, not the end of the
But
world.
did they agree to mention it on the podcast?
They had agreed to.
Oh
yes.
my God. So that's what you wanted in the first place.
Yeah. But it was already out of the budget. I already
Yeah.
capped my budget.
Yeah. No, I know. But
Yeah.
that's a funny story. Well,
Yeah.
good learning experience, but
Definitely.
that's funny.
Definitely.
So yeah, so you listen to a lot of podcasts, and we were talking before we came on the air about like what the best strategy is for content creators or podcasts.
Yeah.
I mean, and I just think that the format of podcast style is just so versatile because it lets you talk about so many topics.
Mhm.
It lets you have a really high production quality.
Yeah.
You can also turn it into reels too. If you say funny stuff, it can be like perfect for good reels or little stories. And then you can also turn it into clips. So
Correct.
I didn't watch the most recent like Lex Friedman with Elon,
Mhm.
but there's he can turn like each topic is like a 5-minute video, and those come into my feed and I watch all of them. Like Elon's playing Diablo 4, which I think is hilarious because I never played Diablo 4, but I played the prior versions and I was obsessed with those games.
So did I.
Apparently he's already like level 100, and like I have time if I really wanted to listen to, because those podcasts are like 3 or 4 hours, I think, at least Elon and Rogan.
I just break it into multiple days.
Yeah. So, but anyway, the idea of like, I've been consuming clips lately, and it kind of changed when I was first considering podcasting. I was like, man, like no one, how many people can really watch 2 hours straight? And like people will watch Rogan, people will watch Lex Friedman, there's maybe 10 podcasts that people will watch, but like if you're a younger podcast, like how do you break in? And I kind of like had to flip my mentality, and I was like, but people will watch clips.
Absolutely.
And if you have good content in there, people will start watching your clips, and then eventually they'll follow your page, and then eventually you get bigger guests, and people will watch the long stuff too.
I mean, my thought process, you can do both.
Right.
So what I think is, it depends on the platform. You can apply one or the other one. Like if you can't put on YouTube a 2 freaking hour podcast.
Right.
Not on Instagram. You
Right.
can't.
Right. Yeah. There's limits.
Correct. But in YouTube,
right.
Nobody's stopping you. You can do both.
Yeah, but who cares if you put up a podcast and it gets 5 views?
Correct.
And you chop up pieces of it and it gets thousands of views.
So
great.
So you can do both.
Right.
You can put the full length.
Right.
So for example, let's say you start your podcast, you do your 2 hour thing.
Right.
You put the full fledged 2 hour, and then the next few days you start cutting pieces and you put the little pieces.
Exactly.
Then you grab some pieces, you cut them a little bit more, you put them on Instagram as a reel, or you put them as a story on Facebook. Same thing. Then you extract the audio and you make it a podcast.
It gives you so much versatility.
Correct. You can grab the text from the audio and turn it into a blog post.
Right.
You can do multiple blog posts. Like it's an infinite amount of content.
Question: have you seen this new girl, the one Bobby Altoff?
Yes, I have.
What's the deal with that? Now I've seen her. She has like Shaq on the podcast.
Yeah.
It's so hard for me to watch when she's playing that character, which I didn't know this, but it's a character for sure because there's other clips. I've only seen like a couple clips where she's acting like a regular person.
Yeah.
But I mean, props to her. She plays the role well, but man, I mean, I guess I fall for like the trap because I like see it. I'm so fucking cringe, but I keep watching it.
Yeah.
But I can't, there's a limit, but I guess a lot of people like, it's just everything about it is just like cringy, cringy. But I always say this, like if the best marketing is the cringiest and it's sad, but it's true. So like putting her in bed with Drake.
Yeah.
Like,
but you know, they removed that.
Oh, it's down, but there's probably reposts.
Yes, but I don't know this for a fact, but I was just reading that apparently there was an issue between them.
I know I've tried to follow it, but it like
I didn't either.
It's too gossipy and there's all this. She's mad at one guy and then she doesn't go to the concert. It's hilarious. Correct. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know either. But what I think exploded it, what made her famous, obviously getting posted by Drake does the trick.
Right, of course.
But is the fact that whenever you see an interview with a person like Drake or any other famous people,
right,
it's more of like, I understand you are the GOAT.
Right.
And I'm here to tell everyone how good you are.
Right. Yeah. I'm just it's an honor to have you on my podcast. How can I?
Correct.
Tell me what questions to ask to make it as easy for you as possible.
Correct.
Right.
There's girls like, I've never heard of you. I don't know who the fuck you are.
Well, that's obvious. It was obviously like an act. Yeah.
I know.
It was like, I don't know who Lil Wayne is. Like, come on. Like,
of course. But it puts the other guy in an awkward position. I'm like,
yeah.
What do you mean? Like,
he's like, no. And then the best is he's like, stop.
Yeah.
He's like, stop. I can't. Like, you're ridiculous. Like, I am not dealing with this character anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's the hilarious part. It's like, she's acting as like, I don't care if you have $10 billion and 100 million fans.
Or she says stuff like, can I have $1 million? Like, are you rich? Yeah. Oh, how much money could you give me where you wouldn't notice it? Mm-hmm. Probably whatever, Drake says, I forget what he says, but like whatever I want. It's like, can you give me $1 million? Yeah. He'd be like, yeah. It should be like, will you give me $1 million? It's like, I think the first time I ever saw her was with Mark Cuban. They were like sitting on the floor, like holding these podcasts without any mounts, like just ghetto style.
Correct.
And she's like, will you give me $1 million? And it's like so ridiculous that it gets views. You know?
I think the point is that the whole aspect of it is not educational. It's 100% entertainment.
A pure entertainment.
It's pure entertainment.
It's like watching a car crash.
Yeah, correct.
It's really like that. Yeah.
It's basically like I'm just I for example, my wife does this a lot. My wife says like, look, during most of the day, my brain is working nonstop.
Right.
And it's learning. She's an architect.
Right. Yeah.
So it's doing all these amazing things. And when I get home, I just want to shut it off.
Yeah, just do nothing.
I don't want to think.
Yeah.
So she puts like,
which is, I think a lot of people are like,
look, it's fine.
Yeah.
If that's her thing, that's completely okay.
Right.
But she listens to some of this podcast. I'm not gonna mention names, but when I'm in the car listening, I'm like, my brain is melting. I'm like, how can you listen to this? She's like, I put this on my way home after a full day of work that I'm exhausted. I don't want to think.
There's a lot of other factors to that too. I started reading a new book. Actually, you find this interesting. It's called The Way of the Superior Man.
Okay.
Very interesting, very enlightening, because it kind of has me. A lot of it is like how you are as a man and like masculine energy versus feminine energy.
Okay.
And like dealing with the other sex. Like it's very enlightening. I highly recommend reading it. Sometimes like the feminine just wants to like just do like emotional stuff. Like my wife is always watching like these shows. My wife's an attorney, so she's also like doing a lot of analytical stuff during the day, but like at night or whatever, like she's watching like, she loves watching like movies about like high school love stories. Like it's like so ridiculous, like Below Deck, Desperate Housewives, like this ridiculous stuff that I'm just like, how? Like you're so smart. Like how are you watching such trash? But it has something to do with like the feminine energy and like emotional, like men don't want to deal with that shit. Like it's not fun for us, but it is for them. It's like it like it nurtures their soul in some weird feminine way.
I just think it's even more than that. It's like, for example, like watching the Kardashians.
Right.
Look, I obviously know who the Kardashians are.
Right, obviously.
But you're never gonna see me watching Meet the Kardashians.
Right.
It's not happening.
Yeah.
Why? Because after 5 minutes, I'm gonna be like, yeah, so I just wasted 5 minutes of my life that I'm never getting back.
Yeah, I used to watch it, and what I would do is I would turn the TV on, the
Yeah.
Kardashians would be on, and after like 90 seconds, I would just start working on my phone.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
and I just had it on in the background.
The problem is, and I don't know if a lot of people have this issue, is my brain goes into like, look, life can be unfair in a lot of things. Like some people are born into rich families, some
Right.
people are not. The only thing that life is extremely fair is we all have the same amount of hours in the day.
Time. 100%.
Everybody has the same thing. So all that matters is how you allocate every minute, every hour of your day. So when you tell me stories like Elon Musk is level 100 in Diablo 4, I'm like, dude, this guy, he found the cheat code.
How
he
is
has 48 hours in his day.
Yeah, he really does.
There's no way you can run.
But he's an animal. He barely sleeps.
I sleep 5 hours every day.
Yeah, but he's
5 to 6.
But he definitely has cheat codes on levels and levels and levels. But he
No.
also goes through phases where he doesn't do anything.
No, I know,
work.
but he has time.
Did you read the book, by the way?
No, I haven't.
I'm reading it right now. It's really
Okay, good.
good. You should definitely read that
the
book.
latest
The
autobiography.
latest one, why Isaacson.
I
It
watched
just came
the
out.
entire interview that Lex Freeman did to this guy about the autobiography. He was.
I think I saw that too. Yeah,
It was 2 hours. I watched the entire thing. So in my mind, it's like whenever for example, I take a new project, I'm always like, hey, you're juggling a lot of things.
Right.
Like you have your full-time job, you have a side hustle. I'm like, you think you can do it? I'm like, look, honey, listen. If Elon Musk can run 5 companies,
Yeah. And they're all amazing.
okay, and they're all multi-billion-dollar companies, okay,
I could do XYZ, right?
I can handle a little project on the side.
Yeah.
And if I can't, I don't know why.
Yeah,
Because
you
we
don't-
had the
yeah.
same amount of hours.
Yeah. I mean, also, I definitely believe in if you don't think you can do it, you're right. If you think you can do it, you're also right.
I
Like
mean, what's the
you
worst-
set your own,
Yeah.
you set your own abilities. So,
What's the worst that can happen? I fail? Okay, I failed, but I tried.
yeah. What's the downside?
Yeah.
A little bit of time down the drain.
Yeah.
But I think that's a wrap, buddy. I think we crushed it.
Good.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me. It was
And
nice.
you're definitely gonna get the first official follow up thank you merch swag bag. It's not gonna be
I'm
tonight,
excited.
but you're gonna get, because I need everybody that comes on is
Okay.
gonna get something dope. It's
Okay.
gonna be, I mean, you're gonna take whatever you want from the
Yeah.
table, but
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
gonna get something good
I'm excited.
also later. So
Okay.
thank you, brother.
Absolutely.
That was great. What do we do, an hour? 50? Yeah, that's perfect.